Hello everybody, welcome to Indigo Tarot Odyssey. How is everybody? Hooray! We're still working through this fabulous full Capricorn moon energy that is both let's get productive and do things, but also that kind of, okay, I'm content, I did my task, check, now I can have a little bit of leisure time. It's very kind of like systematic and nice when we don't allow it to pressurize us with that false sense of, we have to do everything all at once, which is so silly. So I thought that these archetypes worked beautifully within this, and for whatever reason, the comic one makes me laugh so hard just due to the fact that it's like the cat mask over a person. At first I didn't know what the hell was going on, if one of the cat's eyes was just ginormous and the little sprinkle hat, it just cracked me up. But what I'm going to do is start with that card because it's so attention drawing, and I'm going to just read what the book says because I just love the little excerpts of genius that come out of this book. It is so wonderful. Kim Krans is just, cosmic genius. So some of the aspects to this is hilarity, ingeniousness, spiritness, and easygoing. And I know personally I'm very lucky. I have a lot of comics and humorous people in my family. They are so helpful to cut tension and to add levity to situations. And I'm lucky I have quite a bit of my mom's humor, which is that realm of ridiculousness, like where I see something and then I exaggerate it in my head and it cracks me up. True story. Yesterday, remember in yesterday's video, I was talking about almost losing it and crying at the gym because I couldn't get the technology and things wouldn't upload, and I was like doing this stuff for an hour for this membership. No lie, yesterday I was in H&M and I just had to pick up a beach bag. And they're like, are you a member? And I knew that I am. And I was like, what if I can't open the app? And a line comes and I was just like, I can't have this techno nightmare. And I start laughing. And I was like, you know what? I am, but I know I'm not going to be able to figure it out. And I'll frustrate myself. And she's like, oh, just give me your phone. And then she did it for me. But I thought, oh no, everything now is technology. It's kind of scary. Okay, so in the book it says, the comic carries a remedy for all that ails the world. Amid the deepest pain and suffering, there is always the potential to lift up and out of the darkness through the laughter. Though dismissed by some as lowbrow or unsophisticated, this archetype actually has a high advanced mind. Some may use the word genius, as humor requires one to see the situation from afar rather than to be swept away by the drama. The comic sees and accepts the messiness of life, using it as material to be mixed and shaped into a potion to soothe the stressed and serious mind. Hallelujah. They literally lighten us up. Thus, within the comic is usually the sage or the magician, working healing magic upon any audience who will lend an ear. The comic may be the archetype that heals the deep division in our world, one pun at a time. I do believe this so much. If you've watched any reality show and a huge argument is commencing, it's usually that one person that is observing the absurdity of it that will then interject something and make everybody laugh. And I do believe that that is a gift and a talent, and it does help because it really is that old adage that emotion has contagion. So if you're laughing and seeing silliness, other people can also see that, because sometimes a lot of stuff in arguments is rather absurd. So I read this thing one time too, that if you feel like uncomfortable or you're getting agitated, exaggerate it to ridiculous fashion, almost like what you're in a cartoon or something, and things are just so over the top, and you'll begin to laugh and it will release the tension. I do this in my car. Like I'll be talking to myself, and if people are being crazy and they cut me off and do stuff, I'll be saying things to myself like, oh, I hope they're prepared to pay for my funeral because they just almost put me in the ground. And then I'll have like a running commentary on why this person is so horrible at life and why I'm such a saint driving, and just crack myself up. So I love that archetype. And that now brings us to the stone. I'm telling you guys, if you don't have this deck, it really is a heavenly deck. And I'm sure you've seen this on different in different shops and at bookstores. It's so fabulous. So the stone, some of the aspects when light are steadfast, loyal, committed, and present. So the stone says, as an archetypal object. The stone holds psychic and literal weight. Its energy is one of permanence and concreteness and reliability. The stone's ability to transform is nearly imperceptible to us as it changes ever so slowly over countless human lifespans. A single stone may see thousands of generations come and go. Therefore, it contains an ancient and eternal presence. The stone is best used as an anchor, our wild side. So, no matter how far we roam, we can always find our way back. The stone tethers us to earth, helping us ground and connect to stillness, to quiet, to peace. And this card appears. It is likely the stone is a remedy for what ails us. Humble and easily unnoticed, the power of the stone balances the frenzy of our world. I love that so much. And you've probably heard someone say, oh, you're my rock, or you're my stone, hence this kind of comparison. And have you ever been just so compelled to pick up a pebble or a stone at the beach or the forest and it just pulls us? I feel like crystals fall into that category too. Yesterday I was walking through the mall and there was a little stone outlet there and I saw this piece of light blue kyanite that had so much white on it, it might even be white kyanite, and so much mica, and it was sparkling, and it was just so simple and elegant that it reminded me immediately of like The Hobbit, and just something that would be around in, the elves would have it around just sitting on a shelf. I was like, that looks like elf magic kyanite, and so I had to go get it. But I love that. So let's move on to the thread. So when in light, the circuit of meaning within chaos. That's what the thread is. Life is a tangle. So much happens simultaneously and circuitously, I have to say that quickly, leaving us grappling for meaning and direction in a network of distractions. So let's talk about that Capricorn moon for a second, because that energy was very prevalent. It's one of those things, and I didn't want to say that on yesterday's reading because I didn't want people to expect to be kind of ambushed by this network of distractions and kind of misdirection, because there was so much going on in our mind that would want to tell us, you should really be doing this, call this, rectify this. It makes you want to go to the DMV, it makes you want to go to the border corrections, it makes you want to go to everywhere and fix everything. So it's just taking that breath and following one single thread of calmness, right? So the energy of the thread is where we strike the deepest vein in the body. Our whole being responds to its tug. Meaning is pumped through our bloodstream. Our mind, spirits are lifted. We remember who we are and why we came in this world and what we're meant to do. Though this happens on the most profound level, it could be the simplest incident that activates the thread. A song, an image, a conversation heard in passing. No matter how confusing or multi-layered our modern lives become, if we're connected to the thread, we are free. Being tethered to it is the only anchor our heart requires. That is true. It's just, it can be that also that thread of commonality where we're brought back, where all of a sudden we look for peace and we look for reasons to get along. But definitely we are tethered to this lovely thread. I knew my entire life, even when I worked for other corporations and doing different things, I knew that I had this magnificent calling out there that was waiting for me. And I would get so excited because I knew it had something to do with seeing things. I knew it had to do with me understanding things that other people might not be able to understand at that moment. It had something to do with changing moods and changing perspective through, light, laughter, and a different kinds of lens on reality. Like, honestly, I've always thought of the world as a kind of weird computer simulation or matrix or play. And I knew that, I could end a scene, I could leave that play, I could start over, I could bring in new characters. And it's really weird how knowing that reality exists and that we don't have to participate in somebody else's farce or somebody else's tragedy, like that's how I saw life. And I knew that later on down the road, when I matured and I put in more study, and it wasn't just going to be like counseling or psychology or anything like that. It was something on a different, more spiritual scale. And that thread had always been in me. And it was from observing my mother too. I laughed so hard. One day, no kidding, she's out in her garden getting her little elixirs and her mixers to make her teas and her yummies. She loved her mints and all her stuff and to do all her fun little magical stuff. And then she goes upstairs and she comes down, and I swear to God, she's dressed like a judge. And I'm like, Mom, what's going on? What are you doing? And she's like, oh, you didn't know? I'm a magistrate. I have to go officiate over a wedding. I was like, you're a what? How did you not tell anybody? And what reality do I live in? Oh, yeah, I just decided. And I was like, man, I love that. And that clicked something. That was the thread that went through me that went, oh my gosh, my mom decided I want to officiate over, you know, whatever, weddings or whatever, and I want to be able to sign documents and do all this stuff. So I'm a magistrate. And I was like, that really clicked something in my head. And I think I was like 17. I was like, oh my God, you know what? You can be anything you want whenever the heck you want. 1 minute she's gardening and making these elixirs and potions, and then she's dressed like Judge Judy. I'm like, hooray. You know, I just love that. And that created that thread in me of, oh, you know, something special this way comes, and when it's there, I'm going to connect to it. And I just love that. I love these cards so much. I feel like they're just so, there's some buoyancy to them. You know what I mean? When I woke up, I was a little bit heavy because I got a lot going on over the next couple of days. It's going to be fun, and some of it's work orientated, but I was like, all the pressure was released immediately as soon as I started handling these cards and channeling. It's just one of the most wonderful, you know, experiences, because it's really good high vibrational energy that you get aligned with immediately, which is awesome. So I love you guys. I hope your summer's going great, and any little word of advice I can give you too from what's been going through, just take a deep breath and go through life and experience it at your rate, and don't care what anybody else is doing, and you'll attach to that thread, and you'll start to glide, and you'll start to feel good, and then you'll immerse yourself in fun creative endeavors that you're really into and that make you feel good about things. Oh, I gotta share this real quick. Okay, so this manicure, so I was just painting over my old stuff. I was making jewelry, and my old polish was just like chipping and looking batshit crazy. Like, so I go to the manicurist yesterday, and the man just looks at my hands, and he flips them over and he flips them over, and he goes, there are lots of all kinds of things on here, like many layers. He goes, let me guess, you did this? And he starts laughing, and I'm serious. We were cracking up at everything. I was like, oh, you don't think it's a nice professional job? You don't want to hire me? And he was really, really cute. It was so sweet. But he was like, oh my gosh, you guys, you ever just go in for a manicure and your hands are such a disaster, you're almost embarrassed. I had like makeup, I had mascara in the corner of one nail, and they were all chipped, and they were just crazy looking. And I was almost like, can I even go in there? And I was like, girl, that's their job. Go in and get it done. But I was so happy that I did, because it was my little treat for the day. Because that's my other little thing I just want to mention. If you do something and you accomplish something, however small, if you set your mind to it and you made a little proof loop for yourself, I can do this, I will do this, and then you did do this, boom, close that circle out. Go treat yourself to something. You deserve it. You know what? Too often we shelve our rewards for later. You know, when I do this later on in the week, at the weekend, do something for yourself today that's really nice, so you remind yourself how special and wonderful you are. So I love you. Have a great day, you guys.